New truck. This is the Traxxas TRX4, and I would like to take a moment to show you how to install, or how I installed, the QuicRun WP Crawler Brushed 1080 speed control. The harness that goes from the speed control into the receiver is not quite long enough to go from the stock location, you know, through that same routing sequence that the stock speed control does, and there's not a lot of room on the other side to put a speed control. So I wanted to kind of keep the speed control in the stock spot and still not have to use a servo extension. So if you take your two screws out, you can open your battery pack up and get up in here, and you can see how they wire the stock stuff. So this is the shift servo. It comes back around this side through the other two shift servos and back, and the stock speed control does much the same. It's got like a 14-inch long harness on it. It's huge, and it snakes through that way as well. So what I did is I plugged my speed control harness into the receiver first inside the waterproof box, laced that back through, and I was able to find out that the harness can get from the receiver box back to the stock location just fine if you don't loop this harness between the servos. You just go around the back instead. So real easy. It saves a couple inches of harness. Now this is, you know, towards the center a little bit, but it does, you know, reach, and it doesn't have any tension on the wires. It's nice and not taut inside the receiver box as well. And I just zip tie it in place at that same stock location where the stock harness is, and this lays flat along here, and there's actually plenty of space in there. Like, that's not really getting close at all to getting smashed. I checked real closely. If you were concerned, you could put a little bit of tape on top of there. But that's quick and easy how to get your WP1080 into a TRX4 in the stock location. So you got your new WP1080 installed into your TRX4. You still need to do the calibration. If you plugged everything in and you turn it on and it's not doing what it's supposed to do, it's because there's one more step left. That's the calibration. So my transmitter is already turned on. I hold down the button, the set button on the speed control, and I tap the power button. You hear it beeping. That's a good sign it's waiting for neutral. So I tap the button, the set button again. One beep, then I give it full throttle, and I hold it there and tap the button. And then I give it full reverse, and I hold it there and I tap the button, and then I let go, beep at me one more time, and then it's ready to go. There you go, calibration. So you got your speed control installed, you got it calibrated. The next thing you're probably going to want to do is see what the programming card does and how that works. Real easy. It plugs into the dedicated programming port that's on the top of the speed control. You start with the speed control turned off, plug the card in, turn the speed control on, that makes the lights come on, and you'll be able to go through the settings. The card actually has the settings of this speed control on the decal. That's the card that comes with the speed control, so that makes sense. There are 15 different settings that you can go through, ranging from drag brake, running mode. You can change your LiPo cutoff styles, the start mode of the motor, and everything in between. The one that's real exciting for rock crawl guys, and what this install is all about, is this drag brake rate. Now, the TRX4 has a 2-speed transmission that's got some pretty big wide, range from it. The low speed is very slow and the high gear is pretty high. And what that lets you do is run a pretty high drag brake and then turn your drag brake rate very, very low. Now the drag brake rate, it's like when you're driving in your real car and you push on the brakes, how quickly you push on the brakes. So the higher that rate is, the quicker it's going to snap into the drag brakes. So if you like your drag brake to come on real gradually, you can have that drag brake rate set very slow. If you like it to snap on as soon as you get to neutral, you set it very high to like level number 9. Now with a 2-speed vehicle, the drag brake rate being set lower will have kind of no effect on first gear. It'll still be pretty snappy because it's going so slow that by the time you release through the trigger and get to neutral, it's going to be at the speed to slow down already and kind of grab the brakes, and it's not going to have any effect on it. Where the big change for me came is I run my drag brake rate at number 1, and then in second gear I can drive it around almost like a regular car, where if I let off the throttle at those high speeds, it slowly brings the brakes down instead of snapping into that drag brake real hard. But in first gear, because it's so slow anyway and it's geared down so far, that slow drag brake rate doesn't seem to affect it too bad on the rocks. Sure, a little bit, but it's going so slow that you can kind of catch the truck and deal with all that already. So that's a little pointer for me for this specific rig, I guess you'd say. The other thing I like to do is I run my punch mode up at number 9. It's a little bit more linear, and I do run my PWM frequency for this truck up at number 5, which is 16K, make it a little bit smoother. Traxxas uses a kind of strange sealed can 21 turn 550 that they mark as a reverse rotation motor because the transmission in this guy goes the wrong direction. But the higher PWM is actually the frequency that it runs the motor at, so all your mid-throttle and startup stuff is nice and smooth and feels the way it's supposed to. But there you go, some pointers for using the programming card with your WP1080 in the TRX4.